You know, having said that, actually, let's start with the bass, actually. Let's just do it. Let's make a new channel and try to replicate the bass from scratch. I'm not even, because it's a sample now and it's because it's 2 years old, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is what people want to see anyway, to replicate the bass from scratch. Let's go with Zebra. I know I had, yeah, okay, good. At least I have that to start with. So it's a really simple patch. There's nothing crazy here. It's just one oscillator, and this is all types of side bass lines. It's pretty much always one oscillator and one simple filter with a very basic filter envelope. Come on, go octave down. All right, and that's with no processing, so let's try that. Way down. I mean, as far as Ableton goes, just switch into B mode for a draw, and just draw them in. I think I have it velocity sensitive, so let's see. Too many bass lines now, and let's just stick with this. It's just too loud. Let's see if we bring it down a bit. And like I said, first things first, we got to go to the oscilloscope to make sure we're doing everything right. It's a decent waveform. It looks a little bit more interesting than a standard saw. It's only because I've changed the oscillator shape a little bit more. It's not just, I mean, the normal saw wave, it just goes straight from here to here. Now you can change this a few different ways. And that makes a big difference already. Let's put it with the kick, actually. So it's already too loud, we know that. Okay, so let's get down to the processing. The trick to every Psytrance bassline is multi-band separation. So there's a million ways to do it, but I think right now a common way to do it is using Fabfilter Saturn. And what we want to start doing is just separating the bands. We do not want to drive it. We just want to separate the bands, and you'll see on the oscilloscope immediately what we're doing to the, let's just do it like that. So we put a split. So before I keep going, just every time I put a new band split on Saturn, watch what is happening to the waveform on the right side. Teeth already starting to develop in on the right side. I think we're pretty much almost already there. So now, I mean, if you look at the difference in the waveform from what before we put Saturn on it with the band splits, so that's off, and this is your simple waveform directly out of Zebra, and then you put it on, and you hear that extra. So much extra warmth that comes out of the signal. And then we haven't even done any EQ yet. That's just the basic flow of the sound. I mean, you need that for the Psytrance, otherwise you're just not going to have this kind of low-mid, kind of pure muscle that comes out of the sound. So let's just throw a Fab. I mean, if you can't tell, I mean, Fabfilter is my go-to for almost everything. I always put it into this linear phase. Linear phase seems to affect what it's doing to the waveform much, much less than when you don't put it in linear phase. When you put it into zero latency mode, it affects the waveform a little bit more. So I'm more of a fan of just, people always say mix down by your ears, and you can never make a mistake if it sounds good, it is good. That's not true. If it sounds good in your room, that doesn't mean it's going to be good everywhere else. But when you're looking at a waveform that looks absolutely perfect, it's going to sound good on every system. So you really want to make sure your wave looks nice and even. So like this is already like, see it. I hope you can see it. Even back there, I'm not really sure, but I can't make this any bigger. I mean, basically what it does is it just, there's little teeth that get cut into the waveform. This is what you want, and I call them teeth, and I mean, it's extra harmonics that it's carving in. So now let's actually use this to actually like bring out, to duck out the bad frequencies and to boost up very slightly, because you really don't want to boost too much on EQs. You want to cut the bad ones. So let's find the bad ones. That's not horrible. No. I'm going to cut that there. Just boost this up slightly. I'm just going to solo it out again. It's not bad. Actually, that's actually pretty close. And I think Matter of Time also used a little bit of a redux, like kind of a bit crushing effect on the patch itself. So we would use this. Probably put it before. And there's a million ways to do this too. Synopsys has a great one called, I think it's called Digital Grime Box. Basically, you just kind of turn, you just want to kind of like dirty it up to bring a little bit of like digital, you'll see. You hear that extra edge that comes in. And then of course, it's always too much right off the bat. So you always have to kind of like duck that out a little bit. Just a bit. You kind of do like that extra edge that it brings it, like it's a little extra. I mean, that's decent for about 5 minutes of doing it. I mean, you could spend all day working on these bass lines. I mean, you could do it a million different ways. At the end of the day, this is what you want. You want to separate the bands, and just very basically, and you end up with this waveform that brings so much extra color to the bass and extra power.
If you're a music producer, subscribe to our channel and stay up to date on the latest Pyramind tutorial videos, track breakdowns, elite sessions, and more. Visit us at pyramind.com.